welcome everybody. My name is Lynn, or LV Handcrafted, here on YouTube, and today is a Let's Talk live stream. So all talk, no crafting. So if you're joining live, thank you as you're coming in. Drop me a comment. Let me know where you're coming from. I always love to hear where across the country, across the world, everybody is tuning in from. So please say hi. Also, I want to say if you are catching this on replay, I hope that this is a informative and interesting talk to catch. Thanks for catching us on replay. You know, sometimes you can't always catch us live, so I always appreciate when you go back and catch the replay. So let's see, who do we have so far here? Hello, Brian. Welcome. Brian, I don't think I remember where you're from. I know you've joined my live streams before. Give me a couple times and I'll eventually remember. But welcome. I hope you're doing well this weekend and having some nice craft time. Let me know if everything's okay with audio as well. And hello. Oh, you might have to. Oh, Lady in Red. I get it. Welcome. Oh, Crafty kind of love from Ontario. Wonderful. Thank you for joining. I love your handle, Lady in Red. It took me a beat to get it. Brian, you are from Mississippi. Welcome. Okay, I'm gonna try to mental note that for next time. Jessica, welcome. First time on a live with me. Yay, welcome. Thanks for joining. Where did you hear from? Are you in my Facebook group or did this just pop up for you on YouTube? I'm always so curious to know where and how people find me. Let me say this because I so often, and I know once this conversation gets underway, I will totally forget. But as you're coming in, if you could just do me the favor of liking the video because it does help to let YouTube know that I'm putting out content that people like. And so they will then be a little bit more generous when they are putting me in front of other viewers. And Jessica says, I watch you on YouTube, and it came up. Yay! Well, welcome. I'm so glad that you are joining us today. And I'm excited for this conversation as well. So I'm glad that it's a topic that you are interested in. Speaking of, I do have a poll in the chat window. So if you are shy to to say hi, don't be, because everybody is so friendly on my live streams. But check out the poll. Let me know if you've ever been on a design team before, because I'm curious about that as well. And it looks like Brian already saw the poll and filled it out. Thank you. And we have Pia. Is that I'm not sure if that's your first name, but Pia Lee 75 from Sweden. Wow. And you're watching for the first time all the way from Sweden. That's so exciting. Welcome. Thanks for catching this live stream. And Sandy, yay, welcome. Thank you for joining. Sandy, where are you joining us from, if you don't mind sharing? Okay, so I'm gonna just introduce what this talk is about, what motivated me to uh, do a live stream to talk about this. So, oh, wonderful. Okay, so your first name is Pia, and Sandy, you're from Texas. I have family in Texas. Okay, so today I want to talk about design teams, and this, as the title slide here would suggest, is a part one of a series. So that would suggest there's at least a second part. And in this first part, what I want to do, well, really, the goal of the series overall is to talk a little bit more about design teams and what is involved with being on one. And I know when I first started to share my paper crafting, I've been crafting since I was in high school. Started with scrapbooking, and I won't tell you how many years that's been because that'll just give away my age. So, but rest assured, it's been a while. But I've only relatively recently been sharing my paper crafting online. And when I first started, I had a lot of questions. I didn't even really know there was such a thing as design teams, but I was noticing some things. So, namely, I was noticing that a lot of the other content creators, paper crafters on YouTube, they mysteriously had projects already made up from new releases, it seemed. And I was always really curious, how do they get their hands on those products so early? Like, how is that possible? And that's when I discovered there's a thing called a design team. And folks who are on design teams often do get products before they are launched, and that's why we always have so much amazing inspiration to draw from and really to make an informed buying decision. That's why I appreciate it. I kind of like seeing how and what you can do with a stamp set or a die set, um, and that gives me some ideas for whether or not I want to actually purchase that product. But as, the years have gone by and I've since then joined design teams, and thinking back to those early days, I thought to myself, I sure would love to offer an opportunity to other people who might have might feel the way that I felt 4 or 5 years ago when I was first, starting to share my, paper crafting. How can I lift the veil a little bit, peel back the layers of the onion, shed some light on this mysterious thing that is a design team. Because back then, and it might be different now because I just haven't done it recently, but when I Google searched design teams, there really wasn't that much about, how to get on one and what it's all about. So last year, at the end of the year, I decided to actually create my own design team for the exact purpose of, you know, giving new crafters an idea for what it's like to be on a design team, give them a little bit of a taste of that experience. I'm not sponsored by any company, so it's a little bit different in terms of our goals. My goal for them is just, give them a little bit of a taste of what a design team experience is like, maybe a little bit of um, something that they can put on their crafty resume for whatever it's worth, as they are trying to reach that goal of getting onto a team. And so I recruited and selected my very first design team. And hello, Judy. Just want to take a break to welcome you to the live stream. Hello. I'm on the West Coast too, Washington State. So welcome. Fr- And Jessica says, I agree, informed buying decision is why I look for them too. Yeah, because it's often nice to see, what and a lot of times when you watch, especially in video format, I feel like sometimes you can see the product a little bit better than the photos that the few photos that are like on the product listing. So so I love seeing crafters kind of show the product a little bit more close up, and also give their takes on how they would approach using those products. So as I was saying, I recruited my first design team, and And we're not too far into the term. So, in fact, the term starts January and it's only 3 months. So, this is going to be a very low commitment, low pressure experience. I'm keeping the team small so that I can be a little bit more hands on if they need um, to have more questions answered. And so, I'm really, really honored and glad that all of them are actually here with me today to join me in this conversation because I think they have a very unique perspective. And let me check the poll. It does look like some people who are joining us here live right now have some design team experience and but most don't. So, as our conversation is underway, I definitely welcome your comments, your thoughts, and your questions as well. But I'm so super happy that my team has decided to join me during this live stream because they do have that unique experience and the unique perspective of still being very new to it all. And it's been a while. I can sort of think back to what it felt like for me, but I think I'm gonna forget a lot of that newness. So, without further ado, let me introduce to you my design team. So, let me bring them on, and I'll ask each of them to introduce themselves. So we're just gonna go left to right, and, ladies, if you could maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself. We don't need your complete life story, but, just let us know, what got you interested in reading and, where we can find you on social media as well. So Heather, do you wanna start us off?
Sure. Hey, everybody. I'm glad you can make it this evening. I am, first of all, super happy to be given the opportunity to be on Lynn's creative team. Um, I've never, as she said, been on a team or done anything like this previously. I live in South Florida. I am a native Floridian. Um, I have, let's see, I have three children. One is 28. I have with a grandson who is 8 years old, and I have two still at home. My 20-year-old daughter is a junior at Florida Atlantic University, and my son is a senior at Stoneman Douglas High School. And let's see what else. I've been married for this year will be 22 years, and um, let's see. I used to be a hospice nurse. I worked in nursing for some time. Hi, Danny.
Mhm.
And I worked in nursing for a time. I worked in engineering first as a draftsman. Then, when the recession hit, I went back to. There were a lot of us were laid off. I went back to school, became a nurse, worked as a nurse for a while. Unfortunately, I hurt my back and had to be on disability for a little bit and take it easy. And then, thank goodness, the economy did come back enough that I was able to actually get back in with the engineering firm that I used to work with. So that is my full time job, and as along with being full time mom and driver to my daughter who does not drive and all of it. But yeah, RN. Well, I wasn't an RN. I was an LPN because it was the faster license to get at the time. And but my daughter is now, like I said, a junior in school, and she's going towards becoming a nurse practitioner or a PA, a physician's assistant. So it runs in the family. But
Wonderful.
yeah,
That's
that's about
awesome.
it.
Let me catch up on some comments real quick, and then we'll hop on over to you, Stacy. But before I do that, let me share with you in the chat Heather's Instagram page. So, check her out, follow her if you don't mind. Give her some love on her postings. So you'll find as she creates more, she'll be posting to her Instagram. So as she creates more, she'll be posting to her Instagram. One sec. I think we have a little bit of an echo.
There we go.
Okay, so let me pop back real quick and just catch up on some comments because I want to make sure everybody has had a chance to see this. So Sandy, welcome. Sandy says that I've been on many design teams, have been a DT coordinator, and I have a design team at my company. Woohoo! Drop a link if you, oh wait, I just realized that I learned you can't drop links, but let us know in the comments what your company is. I don't mind if you want to promote yourself a little bit on the chat. Welcome, Jay. So nice you're here. And Jessica, thank you so much for this comment. It's so sweet of you. Jessica says, I think that's really excellent that you're doing this for new crafters. What a great opportunity to get your foot in the door. Yes. And I think, I don't know if I can really open any doors for anybody, but whatever I know, whatever knowledge I have, I am always more than happy to share it. So I hope at the very least I can share some knowledge. So that's my ultimate goal. Danny, welcome. So wonderful to have you here. Danny says, I have run challenge teams and now am on many DTs. So really wonderful. If you're not familiar with Danny's Dreams, she's on Facebook and she has multiple Facebook groups. There's a Stamp for That challenge is a fabulous group if you're looking for monthly challenges to try out. Jay says, wasn't sure how to answer your poll. Technically, I'm on one, but I feel very clueless on how they work. I can share that feeling because I was thinking back in sort of preparation for this stream about what my first DT experience was like. And I felt the same way because you can't Google for this sort of stuff. And then when you're there, depending on the team, the onboarding process can be very different. So really hard, and it really just depends. So Sweet Sentiment, welcome. Thanks for joining the live stream. I have been on a few DTs and now have a DT of my own. Wonderful. I love that we have folks from all sorts of experience, from none to some to running their own DTs. That is really, really amazing. So shout out Sandy, along with Jamie Clark, own Sweet Sentiment Stamps. So beautiful, beautiful stamp company. Please do check them out. And Sweet Sentiment Stamp says, design teams are such a wonderful way for companies to advertise their products in a fun and inspiring way. Very, very true. And I always appreciate all the inspiration that comes out because I mentioned earlier, and I think it might have been before you joined, that I love that it gives us a look at how to use the products, and I use it as a informed buying decision. So to me, it's very important. I actually make buying decisions based off of it. And Danny says, yes, every team is very different. And Jay, I've been in IT professional realm for a long time, but it's a bit different since everyone is effectively an artist and has their own style. So the standards are more fluid. Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a very good point. Art is like that, and creativity is like that. Wonderful. Thanks. Okay. So I am going to, let's see, Stacy. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where we can find you on social media and all of that good stuff?
Sure. Well, hi, everyone, and I'm really happy to be here. A little bit nervous, if I'm being honest. It's not easy to talk about myself, but I'll try. No. I'm originally from New York. I've been out in California for many, many years. I still have my New York tendencies with my sense of humor, so I can get sarcastic at time, but I'm really behaved online, so I will be good. I've already promised that to Lynn. I I have been married for a little over 18 years. We met on a blind date, and I didn't want to see him again. We have 2 boys, a soon-to-be 17-year-old and a 10-year-old. I originally started in scrapbooking almost 28, 30 years ago, and, probably after 15 years, I turned more towards card making. I still dabble in the scrapbooking, but, uh, card making has been the top of my list. It's more my focus, as well as I do, dabble in wood projects, journaling, just various side items. Um, let's see what else I could say. Um, it's nice. Oh, let me. I have not worked since 2013, since I for medical reasons, but I have found crafting has been so medicinal for me. It has helped me tremendously, and just with even the mental aspect of it. So, um, even though it can get costly, it's worth every cent to me. Just don't tell my husband I said that. So, that's a little bit about myself, making it really quick. So, again, thanks for having this, Lynn.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining. And you ladies are just too shy to share about yourself. So I'm going to promote you as well. There's a link to Stacy's Instagram page. So please do pop on over at some point and give her some love and check out all of the amazing makes that she shares with us there. Everybody here also is very active in my Facebook group. So if you are part of the Crafty Fun with Friends of LV Handcrafted, that's a very long name, but that's the full name of my Facebook group. You'll see them post their makes there as well. And for anyone who doesn't know about the group, I'm gonna self-promote a little. I hope you don't mind. There's a link to my Facebook group, so feel free to pop on over, share your makes. It's a private group, so the only people who can see what you post will be the people who are part of that group. So I just want to welcome Nancy. Thank you for joining us today. I am super excited. Let me know where you're joining us from if you don't mind. And Jessica says, "Me too, Stacy. I was in a car accident in 2020, and that was when I started paper crafting. The therapy and pain relief I got from it was irreplaceable." Oh, that is sorry for your car accident, but I'm so glad that paper crafting has been something that's given you joy, but has also relieved some of your pain. So that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, I think I'm caught up on comments. So let me introduce you to my final design team member, Renee from the Majestic Ladies. Welcome, Renee. You are the only brave soul willing to not be on live stream behind an avatar. Welcome, my friend. Renee is no stranger to my live streams. She is often on your end providing a lot of comic relief during my live streams. So, welcome, Renee. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much, Lynn. And I'm glad to be here and to share my crafty history. And I'm excited for the future and where this leads. I one shout out, thanks Nancy for coming on. She is a very dear old friend from our marching days. We used to march with the Concord Blue Devils Drum and Bugle Corps, so I'm really happy to see her. to join us and listen in. I started crafting about 4 years ago, and I came from a crafty family. My mom sewed and made crafts. My dad made wooden toys that my mom would paint, and then they would sell them all at craft fairs. We all had to learn in our family how to sew, but I had a hard time matching colors, and I never felt comfortable with doing any of the crafts or any of the sewing. I just didn't think I had the knack for it. And then for about 4.5 years ago, my job was taking up so much of my time that I didn't know what I could do to relax and leave it at the door. And I started watching YouTube and seeing all these craft tutorials. And I'm going, I could do that. I can manage that. And so I started doing that. And now we have tons of crafts in our house and tons of supplies in our house. And I have slowly gone from one crafty box to another monthly crafty box. And then Lynn came around, and I saw another opportunity to try something I didn't know anything about. And here I am now on a design team. Crafting has been a stress release for me, especially since 2 years ago I lost my job due to vascular dementia. And by crafting, it keeps my mind fresh and exciting, and hopefully keeps the dementia down, and I can go on with life a lot longer. I'm looking forward to learning as much as I can. I am technically challenged, and now I'm in a world that is a lot of technical things, as a lot of crafts, and I'm really looking forward to that. I started out with the scrapbooking and then moved into cards. And I've discovered that I love making mini albums. Those are what I love the best. And um, I made my first one was to a coworker who was becoming a grandmother for the first time. And it was a very simple little mini album, The Road to Grandma, so that she could grow and go with her daughter as her daughter was going through the pregnancy. And she loved it, and I loved making it. And since then, I have gone on to bigger and better things. And I'm looking forward to what we can do here on the design team, and be able to craft and get our things out online.
Wonderful.
That's me in a nutshell.
Thank you, Renee, and thank you for sharing something so personal. Really appreciate you opening up and just letting us know the impact that crafting has had on your health. And let me also share, these ladies aren't used to promoting themselves yet, folks. So here's a link to Renee's Instagram. And I missed it earlier, but Heather does run her own Facebook group as well. So let me share that link with you too, if you want to check out Heather's group. And um, I'm going to go back and welcome a couple of people who have joined us since. So, Crafty Mama Diaries, welcome, my friend. Thank you for joining today. And Shannon, welcome. Thanks for joining. I do have a poll in the chat. So if you can take a moment and let me know, really just want to check in and see how much of our audience has been on design teams, doesn't have any experience, would like some experience. Jessica, I saw your post comment about scheduling hopefully your last surgery. So I'm so glad that your road to recovery is nearly there, and I hope that your surgery goes really well. I'm glad you're feeling well, and I love that you are now a bionic woman. So I guess that must mean that you have some parts in you. Or do you have some superpowers you want to share with the group? Danny says that she loves that crafting helps so many people, helps those that create them and those that receive them. That's a really good point, because it's really wonderful to hear how crafting has impacted your lives. But as you make things and as you're sending things like your cards, like your mini albums, you're spreading that joy. And so I think Danny's point is well taken. And thank you, everybody, all of you crafters out there, for sharing your talent, sharing your love for the craft, and bringing some joy and sunshine into other people's lives. And so we've got Crafty Mama Diary says, it's wonderful to hear that crafting is helping you, Heather. Yep. That was Renee who was talking just now. I'm not sure if you meant to direct that to Renee, but Nancy, yes, you are right. Promoting yourself is a definite challenge. It's hard to do, and it doesn't come naturally to everybody. So I completely understand where everybody is coming from and why it's hard. Plus, I'm the only one who can pop links into the chat, so so I'm more than happy to give them a shout out. Okay, so thank you all for introducing yourselves, and I want to go ahead and start our discussion for today's topic. And what I'll do is I'm going to start off by asking my design team the same couple of questions just to get their take on things. And then we'll have a more open conversation. Wherever the conversation goes, it'll go. And they'll have a chance to ask me some questions. If you're in the chat with us live, please don't be shy with your thoughts, your opinions, your questions as well. We're all here to learn from each other. I am hosting this live stream, but it's not because I feel like I know all the answers. It's just because I feel like I never had this conversation when I first started, and I haven't had this conversation since. So this is a first for me as well. And I know that I'm going to learn a lot from everybody, my team here, and from everybody who's joining us in the live chat. If you're catching us on replay, and I know you're not able to get your question asked in real time, but if we haven't answered your question by the end of the stream, I hope you'll leave a comment and leave your thoughts, opinions, questions there as well. So I want to start off, really basic question, Heather, Stacy, and Renee. What's your understanding of what a design team is? Why does it exist? What's involved with being on one? Just want to, while you're still fresh to the experience, I'm curious to learn what your perspective is. It's been a while for me, so can't quite put myself back in that mindset as well. So I'd love to hear from you, thinking, I know you know a little bit more about design teams now that you're on mine, but if you can just think back to maybe a year, a month or so before you joined mine, What was your thought of or understanding of what a design team is?
Well, this is Stacy. I'll just jump in. Actually, I was probably really naive because I just thought it was a place that I could show my crafts, maybe learn new ideas and techniques, come up with others on using same or very similar projects or products or supplies, and being with similar crafted minded people, if that kind of makes sense. So that's what I thought it was, you know. Um, but and also just being able to learn, have the opportunity to learn, gain more knowledge and experience. Uh, I think part of it, what I believe now it actually is, and I'm sure that there's so much more, is just being able to collaborate with others, being able to support each other's, be on a unique team, be cheerleaders for each other, show that support, you know. So that's a little bit from my perspective. So I know there's a lot more out there.
No, but that's wonderful, and I don't think that's a naive perspective to have. I feel like that's very much, my what my initial impressions of a design team is too. And if you're thinking it, I'm sure you're not the only one with that perception. Heather or Renee, do you want to share what your thoughts are on
Yeah,
design teams and
sure.
what they are?
This is Renee, and I need to do a quick shout out. Shannon Hobbicker is my daughter who has joined us in, which I'm really glad to see.
Aw.
Yeah, we have both been kind of sick and under the weather, so I'm glad to see that she's here.
Welcome, Shannon.
My first thought was I was trying to figure out how these people get so many projects done and online so fast. I didn't I'm going, they couldn't have done them all by themselves. They had to have help. There's no way they could have done them all. And so that was my first questioning. And then I heard about design teams and I go, oh, that's where they came from. People that designed different things for them. And then I learned, well, it's not quite just that. It's, they have, some of them have strict rules and some of them have free design things that they are able to do. And then I learned that a lot of them get products from their what, I don't know what you want to call them, the leader
Sponsors or the company.
sponsors.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then I thought, oh, that I would really love and use.
And can I ask you, Renee, how you learned about that?
Just through the chats, reading the chats on
Oh, okay.
different YouTube shows that I've been on.
Oh.
Yeah, and then that's how I learned on that. And one of my friends also recently just started a design team last year, and that was the Artful Angel. I've been kind of following her as she's grown. So that was really neat to see. But when I heard that we got, or that people get products from the sponsors and have somewhat of a direction to design, and I thought, okay, I can do that, and I can really make use of the products, and having those more paper and more ephemera, which is things that go on and make the project stand out. Those are the two areas I really, really love.
Yes. So before I move on to getting Heather's thoughts on this, I just want to welcome a couple more people who have joined us. So Stamper Girl or Delise, welcome. Thank you for joining, my friend. If you're new to my channel or to my live streams, Delise and I stream a lot together, so she's a riot. But check out her channel. It's Stamper Girl here on YouTube. And actually, really many of the folks in the chat have YouTube channels. So if you're feeling like you need some inspiration, definitely visit all of these folks because they have wonderful YouTube channels. Marla, welcome. Mad About Cards and Crafts. Thank you for joining today. Welcome. And a couple more comments, but let me, I'll come back to those, but let's get Heather's take on what was your thought before joining my team of, what it meant to be on a design team and what it was all about.
Yeah, when I first started making cards, I guess I found, it was with Stamp It Up, and which I think a lot of people have their start with. And I started making it, and then I started watching different YouTube tutorials and different YouTube channels and started buying products. And then I started noting that certain products had what they called a hop. And I'm like, well, what is this hop thing? And, and then I noticed that like in a particular hop, maybe it would be the same people. And then, oh, well, they're part of that product's design team. And so I just thought it was like these really, really like experienced, super awesome crafters that, that make products, from a sponsor. But, I always thought you had to be like, like untouchable, like just like perfectionist, like the best of the best. And I was like, oh, that would be fun one day to ever get that good to actually be on a design team. That would be awesome. And so that was kind of a dream of mine, maybe one day that I would get to that level. But then when your criteria was never been on a design team, I'm like, whoa, hands up, that's me. So that's awesome.
Wonderful. Thanks. It's funny listening to you ladies describe what you think because it's just bringing back so many memories for me. Because I would say I had a lot of the same thoughts, and I'm just catching up on chat here, and I have Crafty Mama Diaries. Helen says, my understanding of a design team before being on one is getting free product in exchange for a project. And Marla of Mad About Cards and Crafts agrees. That was her first impression as well. And you're not the only one, Heather, who didn't know what a hop was, because it's an interesting concept, and when you're new to it, it's kind of like, what? I'll just go with the flow. Tell me what to do, and I'll do that. Hashtags as well. That's something that is definitely, I'm still really learning how to use them effectively. And then welcome, Angela. Thanks for joining. So Angela Brennan Creations says, my first experience of being on a DT was quite unnerving, as I made quite a few cards before submitting a card, as I did not think it was good enough. Oh, I felt that way too. And this ties in a little bit, Heather, with what you were saying about, and I definitely remember feeling this, that to get onto a design team, it's such a lofty goal. And I it took me a long time to even apply. And I actually just posted to my blog today because I wanted to just do a little bit of a walk down memory lane to understand my own history of getting from when I started to when I to now actually. So that's on my blog if you want to check it out. And I wrote it all out so that if I need to answer some questions, I can look at my own blog post because surprisingly I don't know my own history very well. But
Hey, Lynn.
yeah.
Along that same line, I never thought I was good enough to apply to a design team. And when you came along and offered this opportunity for someone who has never been on a design team, I felt, okay, here's my chance to learn and maybe get as good as some of those other people that are on design teams. So I really appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you. That's so kind of you. And that's why I did it is because you know, I think I'm seeing a lot of other folks like Helen agrees as well. Just the idea that it just seems like an unreachable goal, and I was very shy to even start applying. And when I first started to apply, I got a lot of rejection. So I stopped applying because rejection is tough. And it took a while to get to the point where I felt like I was good enough. And so I think that's one of the things that I love Sandy's comment, because from the perspective of now somebody who runs design teams, being good or expert is a misconception, because it's more about creativity. And I think that Jay was speaking to this a little bit earlier in the chat as well, that art is very subjective. So it's really, we shouldn't be thinking in terms of good enough, because you can't say necessarily that any work of art, any creative expression is good or bad, because you might feel one way about it, but somebody else could feel totally differently. So thank you, Sandy, for making that point. And Jay says, I always feel like I'm the newest one, and are my cards good enough? Yeah, absolutely.
Lynn,
Yes?
this Stacy, I'm sorry. I just want to say I really appreciate everyone's comments, because it's like I feel similar, or it's really inspiring seeing what people are writing about, how they feel that they either weren't good enough, or something that was misleading, and I loved reading what Sandy said. It's about the creativity. So I'm reading these on the side, and it's like, yes, or you're not alone, or really they felt the same way. So I just want to put my 2 cents. I can't respond to them, but thank you guys for your comments in there. I really do appreciate reading them. And so thanks.
Yes. And I'm glad that we're all getting that sense that we're not the only ones who have these feelings and who think this way. And I think I saw a comment from Helen that sometimes even now she kind of feels like that. I have it on the screen now. I always feel that way even now. So yeah, so I'm glad that everybody kind of we're kind of shedding a little bit of light and demystifying things a little bit. And it's really, really lovely to have folks on the other side of things in the chat too, to help confirm and maybe, shatter some of these myths, like, are you good enough? So Marla says, I pretty much started with a hop group. If you haven't seen Team Tiny videos, it's a great group to join to jump into. Wonderful. Thank you for the shout out. Thank you for the help and the tip. folks in the chat, if you have more tips and advice like that, definitely share with us so that we can all
Lynn,
learn. Yes.
there was a comment or question actually as to what a hop is.
Oh, wonderful.
Nancy asked that question. So that would
Got
be
it.
a really good,
Yes.
transition um, from the last comment into explaining what a hop is.
Yeah. So wonderful. I found the comment. Let me go ahead and answer that. So a hop is essentially a group of crafters who have decided in advance, maybe it's a theme, maybe it's a product they're all going to use, but whatever it is, they've decided that they are all going to share projects showcasing that theme or product on the same day and time. And they're going to help direct their viewers from whether it's their YouTube channel or their Instagram is another common place that hops happen. And they're going to direct their viewers to other people who have joined or are a part of the hop. And the idea is that it's a way to share a lot of inspiration about whatever theme or about whatever product is being showcased in that hop. But it's also a really great way if you're thinking about, I saw a question about, how do you promote yourself? And it's a wonderful way for us crafters who are trying to build our social media platform to be introduced to new people, new viewers. Because usually the idea of the hop is you start somewhere, somebody along the way might be your friend or it shows up on your feed, and then you just hop from one crafter to the next, to the next, to the next. Often these hops have a giveaway, which is often the sort of that little carrot, that little motivation to actually visit each person along the hop. And so that is essentially what a hop is. I hope I've explained that well. I know there's lots of folks in the chat who are probably way more experienced than me, and I hope they can help us out too if I missed something. But let me try to catch up on chats a little bit as well, because I saw a question I want to answer. So Jessica says, do you have to have a YouTube channel in order to be on a design team? And Jessica, this is a really great question, and for Sandy and Danny and folks in the chat who run design teams, do feel free to answer in the chat as well. I'll give you my perception on this, and the quick answer is you don't have to have a YouTube channel, because there are a lot of teams that are not video based. So for example, challenge blogs are often just based on blogs and websites. And so I don't usually see video experience or a YouTube channel as being a requirement. So there are teams out there that are, for which being or having a YouTube channel or being a video creator is not a requirement. And there are lots of sponsors and companies out there that have both or have multiple different teams. So there may be a team that's focused on their blog. There might be a team that's focused on sharing things on Instagram. There might be a team that's focused on sharing YouTube videos. And part of that is that social media, there's just so many different platforms out there and so many different ways to reach different audiences. And so lots of companies, lots of sponsors have kind of a hybrid team where there might be some folks who create videos for them, but not everybody on their team is required to. So I hope that answers your question, Jessica. And if I missed your comment or your question, don't hesitate to ask again and put it in all caps if you if you need to get my attention. And I hope Stacy, Heather, and Renee, just like Renee did earlier, if you spot a question that I've missed, please do let me know. Oh, I wanna touch on this. So Angela says the tech part of being on a DT, for example, the social media postings, was quite a minefield for me. My first Altenew IG Instagram hop was so hard, and without my husband's help, I would have dropped out of hops. And Helen of Crafty Mama Diaries totally agrees. Tech is a challenge. And so ladies, I think Renee, you touched on this a little bit. Are you scared of tech? Are you worried about what technical skills you need to be on a
Oh yeah,
team?
yes, I am somewhat scared of it, although I'm not afraid to jump in and learn. But I don't have the knowledge I wish I did in cropping designs so that they look better, putting videos together, which I know we're not there at this point, but I've never worked with any Photoshop type programs, so it's all brand new just to make my design look better.
Yeah. Yeah, Heather,
Yeah.
Stacy, thoughts on how new is like social media and technology, all of that? How new is that to you?
Yeah, social. This is Heather. Social media. You know, I've always had my Facebook page. Had Instagram. I finally learned how to do reels on Instagram. They were pretty easy to learn how to do and to pair up with music. So that was kind of fun. But as far as actually doing videos like on YouTube, that's an entirely different thing that I haven't touched yet. So that's a little overwhelming, but but I like computers and learning new things. So it's just something that I need to learn. But I look forward to learning it. So I don't know if I'm scared. It's just something I have to learn. I think the scariest thing for me is doing lives.
Well, we're quickly getting you over
easier.
that.
It's easier with the avatar, and I've joined on a lot of your craft alongs and whatnot, but actually having my face on the camera, that's another thing. But we'll get over that too.
Well,
I'm not quite there yet.
Well, let me speak to that really quickly because I kind of feel like I don't think that's something you necessarily have to get over. I don't plan on ever showing my face if I can help it because the reality, and I operate mostly under my crafty handle, which is LV Handcrafted, but I do believe that, and this is going to sound weird and ironic, so let me know in the chat if anyone else feels this way, but I do feel like for me, I kind of want to keep my privacy, and I know that sounds weird considering I post like everywhere online and I'm on YouTube and all of that, but I do understand the hesitancy of wanting to kind of be out there with your full name, with your, because I talk, if you've been on my live stream, I talk about a lot of things. If you've watched my videos, I talk about, like my mom is a seamstress. Like I'm talking about personal things, but I personally just feel a little bit safer doing that under a social media handle as opposed to my full name, and behind my avatar, instead of being live on camera. So I kind of feel like, if Heather, if you never want to be live in front of a camera, I don't think you should have to feel like you need to, if you want to keep that part of your identity to
Okay, well,
yourself.
that's good.
So that's just my personal take on it. I don't know how folks feel in the chat. One of the things, though, that I will say, just to share my own thought process, is that it did keep me from the idea that I have to like share my photo, share my what I look like and all of that, and go in front of the camera. There was a long stretch of time where I felt like I needed to do that, because when you often hear like, oh, when your audience can really connect with you, then that's when your audience will grow. And what better way to connect than to see who you are and see your real face. So it took a while for me to just say, hey, I don't want to make that a goal for myself, and if it means that my channel doesn't grow as quickly, or whatever the case may be, then that's just gonna have to be the result of that decision. But it took me a while, to be honest, to come to grips with the fact that this really isn't something that I want to do, to be very like in front of a camera. And so if that means that I lose some opportunities, or that my channel doesn't grow, that's life, I guess. So Stacy, were you gonna say something? I think I might have cut you off.
Oh no, I was just waiting for it to quiet, so I didn't start. I had mixed emotions about the social media. I'm not afraid of social media, but when it's pertaining to me personally, I should say, yes, I don't like to hear my voice. I don't. Now that I know we could do avatars, oh, I'm all happy about that one. But like, I used to do Zoom meetings, no problem. I was doing Zoom meetings of a group that I was involved in, and I was leading. So I just like oversaw it, where it was more of a, I don't want to say a job. It was just something that I was involved in, and it was a big group. And so it was not a problem. It was like another hat I put on. It was like a different facade of Stacy. But with my creativity, I take things so much more personal, and it's like you were saying with that layer of onion, it's showing a part of me. So I have my Instagram page where I'll do like my cards and stuff, and I plan on promoting that more and showing more. But I've had a few people ask about my Facebook. Well, my Facebook is totally my family, my quote, my life. So I don't want to share that aspect, because I have my children and certain personal items. And I did try to do a page, and then I was totally, after just one day putting it, I was so frustrated by the end of that day, just looking at all the advertisement. I felt lost, and it felt overwhelming. So in my head, I'm already, well, maybe I should do a group, do this. So it just felt like it was bigger than it needed to be, like just a thinking process. So I want to be able to, yes, promote my cards and be part of this wonderful group of crafters. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But
And
I don't want to be feeling so overwhelmed, like I have to do this, or I'm doing this one wrong, or I wish I didn't do that. But so I'm not afraid. I just put too much thinking in my head for the processes.
yeah, and to that point, I wanna share this comment from Sandy too. To not be afraid to share your creations, because if we don't see what you do, we can't appreciate your creations. And I think that's big. I think just putting yourself out there is such a huge achievement in and of itself. And in those early years when I was, kind of down on myself, my channel wasn't growing. And you'll read about this if you visit my blog, but I just kept pushing even though it felt like I was making videos just for myself to watch because because I was getting so few views and so little engagement, and there are millions of videos on YouTube. It just felt like it was all going into a black hole.
Mhm.
But you just kind of have to remember at the end of the day that it's a craft you enjoy,
Mhm.
and to just keep doing it, and to keep putting yourself out there, and people will eventually see and notice. I want to just flip back and welcome some new folks who have joined us. So Serge, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Welcome. And Serge says this is definitely a great topic to listen to. Thanks for talking about it. Thank you, and welcome to the conversation. Jackie says, glad to talk about the feelings that we're not alone in our thoughts. Wonderful. Great group of artists. Yes, you're not alone, for sure. We're all at different points in our crafty journey. And so, you're never alone in thinking, how or feeling how you feel. Because I think at some point we all started, from somewhere. So we were all there at one point or another. Um, Jay, I don't know if the link has been posted yet, but if there's a link or some more information on Team Tiny, Marla, if you could share that, that would be wonderful. Deborah, welcome. Thanks for joining. And Deborah says, a hop is how I found you in your YouTube channel. Thanks, Deborah. Welcome. Nancy says, so kind of like online networking instead of a live craft show. In terms of hops, yes, sort of. It is like that. Oh, so this is a good perspective. Helen of Crafty Mama Diary says you don't need a YouTube channel, but I think it's a big selling point to the company. And that's a good perspective to share as well, because I think the more tools in your belt, the more opportunities are open to you as well, because there are some design teams that are video focused. Sandy says all DTs are different. Sometimes it's a blog, hop, etc. So search for the one that works for you. And on that point, I do think it's important to find sponsors or companies or challenge blogs that are a good fit for you, so that whatever you're going to have to make, that you're going to enjoy that, and that it doesn't end up feeling like work. So whether that's a company whose products you already love, or a challenge blog that maybe it's a sketch challenge and you love sketches. So I think find what works for you. Terry, welcome. Oh, she had the time down wrong. Well, you found us, so I'm glad you're here. Delise of Stamper Girl says, agree with Sandy. All teams are different. They ask for different things. Sandy says, tech is challenging. However, crafters are the best to help each other. Yeah, so true. And I feel like often it can be a little bit intimidating to ask for help, but definitely do, because the crafting community is very, very friendly, and I have found that it's not like folks are trying to keep some sort of competitive advantage. They are very they're very open to helping their fellow crafters. So just ask. And I think sometimes that's hard to do, but definitely don't forget that's always an option. Angela says, I have come to realize that there is much help out there for tech via YouTube videos. You just need patience to sift through them, set aside. Yeah. So there's a lot of information, out there. to kind of do your own research and sort of learn all of these different aspects of what all you have to do when you are part of a design team.
Yeah, Lynn,
And
these comments are really inspiring because I read some from Sandy and even Stamper Girl, where it says you need a support system. She would have given up, her slow growing channel if it wasn't for Lynn and Kim. As well as Sandy saying, don't compare your work to others that you see, compare your new projects to your previous ones, and it'll show your progress. And as people are like their comments too, I have written down, excuse my English, like 9, 12 different names I haven't seen, or a few familiar ones that have commented from something we posted or anything from your Facebook page that I'm going to reach out. I'm going to, use this support team as well as now follow other designers or follow other crafters, I should say. So, people are going to be seeing me around a lot more on your pages or your,
Aw,
Sandy
that's
knows I
wonderful.
I got the
You're
opportunity
so
to
far ahead of me in the comments.
Oh, well, see, I don't have the work. I'm just sitting behind the scenes. You're doing all the work, but I had the opportunity to meet Jamie and Sandy in October, and it's like it was down to earth and friendly and crafters, and now it's like, oh my gosh, I'm on a live. It's like I'm in the big team now, even though I'm not. I'm just a little fish here, but it's just like, wow. It's like I made new friends, and that's what it's feeling like, because where I live, it's like there really aren't any crafters anymore. It's like they all left, so it's just like I feel I have this crafting family right now, so I'm on like a little high right now, and I love this,
Aw.
and these names that are popping up that I've seen on your Facebook page, and it's like, and seeing the comments, and even though I don't quote hear the voices, I'm hearing them in my own head, so I'm really not crazy, just a little bit, but it's just, yeah, this is, I don't know, this is better than paying for anything.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, as you can hear, we laugh a lot.
Mhm.
We joke a lot. We have a lot of fun as we're doing what we enjoy working on.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this industry, is you get to meet so many fabulous people, and they're doing all different kinds of crafts. It's not just card making or book making. Everybody is
Right.
doing something different, and it is wonderful to connect and
Yeah.
have that backup and that resource if you get stuck, um, which the hops don't just pertain to cards and scrapbooking. There are hops in every type of crafts. The quilting world have hops. The sewing world has hops, and just about every type of craft, the group have a hop that you can check out and enjoy and
Yeah.
grow. It's not just, it doesn't just belong to us.
That's a good point. That's a good
Mhm.
point. There's lots of, because at the end of the day, it's really just about sharing a body of work and growing our community. And that can be
Yeah.
applied in so many different forms of craft.
Mhm.
There's an important discussion that's happening in the chat that I do want to touch on, and that is, are blogs a thing of the past? There was a question of, do you have to have a blog? And I'm seeing some interesting takes on it, because I think Marla said, I had it on the screen a little while ago, that um, that for her, when she shares something out to Facebook, her blog will get actually more click-throughs and more traffic than her videos. And for Danny of Danny's Dreams, it's the opposite for her. So it's interesting. I will say that Stacy, Heather, Renee, do any of you blog?
No.
I do
Curious.
not. No, I do not. Mm-mm.
Okay. Because I don't see it as being a requirement much these days. And for teams where it started off as a requirement, I'm seeing that sometimes it's falling off, as you don't really have to worry about doing that anymore. But that being said, like I mentioned, there's still challenge blogs out there, and that's all web-based. That's all blog-based. So I think there's still space for blogs. I don't think they are gone yet. And Angela, I love your comment. Initially, I felt like I was making videos just for my family to watch. I feel the same way. I remember those days.
Lynn, I
And
was gonna bring up that comment because I could so relate to that. I
yeah,
feel like the only people on my group was like friends and family.
yeah, for sure. Delise, you're so sweet. This is such I think it was Heather maybe who already spoke to this, but I wanted to just bring it up that you do need a support system, and that she would have given up on her slow growing channels if it wasn't for me and Kim. That don't credit us. We're just here to have fun. It's all you, girl. Your growth on your channel is like a reflection of your talent, and it's just going to continue to soar. So I'm glad we can be part of your crafty journey. And
It's okay. Blame it on Lynn.
the other thing is that I wanted to, let's see, did I miss the comment? Oh, okay, here we go. So Marla does say that she will contact somebody in the group to provide a link, and I can repost that to the group for sure. Terry says, I think one thing to keep in mind is that even though we view our creations as part of us, we don't get it as much of a response as we're hoping. Yeah, that's not a rejection on us personally. Yeah, that's a really good point, and it took me a while to realize that, because and I think Jay said something similar to this too about selling a watercolor piece that he wasn't, he didn't think was super great. But often that will happen to me where a card or a project that I'm like so in love with, and I think, oh, this is gonna be the one that like goes viral. That's our dream, right? We want it to go viral. And like it'll just get kind of lukewarm reception. And then the card that I make that I'm like, okay, it's not, I don't love it, but I don't hate it, so I'm gonna share it. And that'll be the one of the set that I'm sharing that gets like a lot of the likes and the loves and the comments. And I'm like, is this pity, or is this I don't get it, because I like the other one so much more. And that's art for you. That's creativity. You don't know what's going to land, but you can't be so attached to what you put out there and so attached to the response that you get. You just kind of have to like love it for what it is, love the process that got you there, and not see any of the reaction as personal. And also, not to feel like your value as a creator is necessarily tied to the response that any one piece of your work generates. So, and I think Sandy said, just keep crafting, just keep sharing. So so I love that. And I'm missing a lot of comments, ladies. If you see something that I should bring up, let me know. But created by Zoe, welcome. Thanks for joining us. And let us know your thoughts, and if you have any questions. Danny says that she blogged about 12 or more years ago. It's her favorite thing to do. Yeah, I mean, I think blogging just seems very kind of like that's where a lot of it started, right? Because YouTube is so relatively new. And maybe it'll be a while before that really becomes a thing of the past. So I think if you're still blogging and it's working for you, don't let it go. I see a blog as a record of what I have created despite having a YouTube channel. I love having a blog. Awesome. I don't blog a lot, to be honest, but I do see the value in it for sure. Wonderful. And Marla, thanks for agreeing with me, but I'm so far back on the chat now. I don't know what you're referring to, but thank you. Let's
That was
see.
good. That was good.
Yeah.
Maybe the one that gets much love is the most unique. Stepping out of your comfort zone gets attention. Oh, good point. I never thought of it that way. That's possible. And I think it's important as a skill set if you're joining a design team and in general, just in life. And I know all of you ladies, you're kind of already doing this. You're stepping out of your comfort zone, trying something new, learning new things. And I think that's part of the journey as well, because there's always something to learn, and it's just part of the discovery process of adding kind of new tools to your toolbox. And so I'm almost caught up on chats, and then I have a second question I want to ask my design team. I think many people are intimidated and don't believe they can create more complex cards, so they pass them over. Yeah, that's a good point. Do you ladies ever feel that
Definitely
way?
agree. Yeah, definitely. I've seen some wonderful works that people have used the pace and the molds, and I'm going, I'm not that great.
Same. I've said the same thing with those. Recently I've seen a lot of using the paste and molds, just like Renee said, and I've been like, yeah, I'm just gonna stick to my simple cards.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I think we all have different interests, and there's space for everybody. Okay, so let me ask this quick question of you ladies. We're so deep in this conversation, but I would love to know if you do want to join a sponsored design team, and if you do, if that is a goal of yours, what is your personal goal or motivation for that?
I'll go first. This is Heather. I suppose in the future that would be like fantastic. That would be like an ultimate, I guess, kind of goal as far as crafting goes, especially if it's like a sponsor that I, follow and really enjoy their stuff, obviously. It would all depend on, obviously requirements and whatever, but the goal and the motivation would really just be enjoying my crafting and being able to, I love seeing people that are on design teams because they're such an inspiration to me, and I pull, ideas or, inspiration from them, and I would hope to be able to provide that to other people as well.
Awesome. Renee, Stacy, is it a goal of yours to join like a real design team?
Okay. Well, this is Stacy. I think I'm on a real design team,
Aw.
Lynn. So, I may be a baby in the design team, but I say yes and no for me. So I don't know if that's the answer you want. Part of it, yes, it would be really an amazing dream because I see how talented these designers are, and they're using products of companies that I shop at, and they're so amazing, all the skills that they have of all these different products, and being able to inspire to a larger, I don't want to say audience, but a spectrum, um, would be amazing. But then again, in my little crafting world, if I could make a few people happy or inspire just a few people of what I already know and love to do, that is so rewarding.
Mm.
So, I mean, either way makes me happy. So if I want to talk, like, yes, eventually, sell my cards, that aspect, yes, being on a design team, because I feel like to be able to reach more, I need to have that. But
Mm.
in my personal life type of thing, I don't need, if it's just for my crafting, what makes me happy and who I give cards to and who I share my little world with, I don't need it. So it's like a yes and no.
Oh.
I definitely want the experience of being on the design team, but the yes and no comes about being the sponsored one. So
Yeah. And Crafty Mama Diary says that she loves your answer, as
Oh.
do I, because I think at the end of the day, if you can take it or leave it, that's kind of the best position to be in, because you're just enjoying your craft because it brings you joy and you love spreading that joy.
Mhm.
So,
Hey,
I
Lynn.
think that's awesome.
yeah, and
I'm
on my
sorry, I
worst,
didn't.
oh, and
No,
on
I
my
just
worst,
wanted to. So sorry, sorry. I just
Go
wanted
ahead,
to
Heather.
say that I love Jay's comment about his goal is to make crafting hobby as self-funding as possible, if possible.
Yes.
I am completely with you, Jay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, you're fine. That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Indeed. Renee, did you have
Um,
some thoughts on whether you want to join a design team? A real
yeah,
one?
I'm kind of like Heather. I'm on the fence on it. At this point in time, it would be, I'm not ready to take on that much of a pressure as to, have to have it done by this such and such a time.
Mhm.
I'm afraid that it would turn into more of a job, and instead of the fun part,
Mhm.
like we are now, and learning so much and having so much fun, on not having that pressure is really cool.
Yeah.
And the fact that I was able to do that. I was able to join one. I can say, yay, I did it.
Yay.
I reached
You're
the
here.
goal.
Yep. You've checked that box.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Yeah,
So whether or not I go further in that score, I don't know. Right now we take one day and just take it to the fullest, and concentrate on what I'm creating right now.
Wonderful. That's awesome. So I'll share with you my motivation, and it's not far from Jay's, but it goes beyond Jay's expectation of hoping that this hobby, is self-funded by various ways that we can earn as content creators. I would really love, and I know Renee, in one of my live streams, you asked, I think Delise and Kim were there with me, do we all do this full time? And
yeah,
the answer
that
was a
was-
resounding no. We all work, and this is just a hobby. And I'll be honest, I do wish I could do this full time and have it be something where I don't have to work to not just fund finance the money that I put into my crafting, but really to actually earn an income from it. So I would really love for that to happen one of these days. So this has been such a
I
wonderful
always-
conversation. So
With that
sorry, go ahead.
question, I always wonder how you guys are able to do so much in the crafting world when you are working full time. That's what amazes me. I mean, you put out a video every day.
just about, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't always, and I think part of that is just learning through the years how to streamline your process. And Danny, I'm so happy for you that you get to craft full time. I am so jealous, and it's definitely, whether I was sharing my crafting or not, I would still be doing it. Probably not at the volume, that I am. But and I think just like what you all have been saying is, you want to keep the joy of crafting and not to have it go too far into feeling like work. So that's a balance for sure. I have never really felt like the actual crafting was work, but there's more beyond the actual making of that goes into your responsibilities as part of a design team. And sometimes that has felt a little bit like work. Stamper Girl says, Renee, it's because she doesn't sleep. She is always working. I get some sleep. I do. I
Yeah.
promise.
I agree with that. It's late nights and weekends.
And Lynn, something you said about with the sponsored, we would want to go on a sponsored team too. For those of us who, my answer was like yes and no. I think, and I don't know if the sponsored teams, it would be great to get to be like an intern on one where you don't have to follow, quote, all the rules or buy or the merchandise or, be held so high or accountable, but be able to still learn so many of the ins and outs of being on one. So going from where we are now, which is great because, we're learning each day. We're learning when we, meet with you or have conversations with you to the next, step if, in our design team field, I should say, if that's even anything. But if they had interning out there, or they had companies that reach out, hey, I saw you, would you be interested, in a few months, just learning a little bit more? I don't even know if companies offer that, but I mean, that's something that I definitely would be interested in because it's not taking a major step in a long time, but it's definitely still increasing knowledge and opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm seeing Sandy say that you can get that by guest designing. And internships, I've never heard it necessarily referred to that way, but there are a couple of different ways that you can sort of get a peek into the life of a design team member, and guest designing is one of those. Sometimes those opportunities are advertised in a similar way as design team calls are. I don't know if our crafters in the chat can give some pointers as to how you find guest design opportunities. I've had very few of them, and I've always been surprised because it's always been out of the blue. Somebody has contacted me. But I will say that, and I don't know if there are other teams doing this, but I know that Cat Scrappiness has a full-time design team, but they also have an influencer team. And they aren't the same in the sense of perhaps, Heather, what you're looking for in the sense of giving you kind of a sneak peek insight in, because they're completely separate. And as you know, part of the design team, you don't generally necessarily interact with the influencer team, but the influencer team has some perks to being on that team, but without the formal obligations. So there's a little bit of you have some of the benefits that a design team member would have, but you don't have all of the deadlines, for example. So that's something to be on the lookout for. And for folks in the chat who actually manage teams, let us know if internships is something that makes sense, or is guest designing kind of filling that purpose. So definitely love the conversation that we've had so far, just based on my two questions. But I want to give my team, Stacy, Heather, and Renee, as well as everybody in the chat, do you have questions for me? Is there anything I can attempt to answer for you?
Who wants to go first, girls?
Well, the discussion has been absolutely wonderful, and bouncing things off from what you have said and what our the members that are listening in, what they have said. They we've pretty much touched on most of my questions, and you just filled in the last part of my question of wondering how you got everything done so quickly. But I did want to say that one of my friends that has a channel, she's from the UK, and she's Cal Summers from, I know I'm going to mess up her channel name, Paper Stories. And I can't remember my brain is doing its thing right now. She does mini albums, and her goal was to become a design team member for Graphic 45. And it took many years of her applying to where this year she finally made it, and has presented a couple of albums so far that you can find on Graphic 45's blog. And that was her goal when she finally made it. It was, a hoop-de-la. They didn't come after her. She sought them out. And I think when it comes to the bigger companies and sponsors, that you have to go and look for them. They're not going to come and find you. Maybe the smaller ones will, but you've got to do the legwork for it. For most of it, from what I understand. I'm surprised that you have gotten a lot that have just come to you to do their designing. But
so on that, just not every team I'm on came to me, for sure. I applied. But I don't think it's a matter of how big or small the company is. I think it's just a matter of how the company wants to approach creating a team of designers. some companies don't put out design team calls at all,
Mhm.
and they will exclusively just reach out. And I think I saw a comment earlier, far back, from I think Danny, but if I'm crediting the wrong person, I apologize. But I think it was Danny who said, "Craft with what you love, and you're gonna get noticed eventually."
Mhm.
And I fully agree with her sentiment, because for one, craft with what you love, because if it brings you joy, then that's great, whether or not it gets noticed. But also because some teams do operate that way, is that they don't put out calls for people to apply. They look to see who's out there, and whatever they feel like would round out their team. And that could be a certain style, it could be a certain point of view, um whatever it happens to be, they actually seek that out. And
Mhm.
so it's just different for every company, how they want to approach building their team. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been very few and far between the couple of sort of folks who've come out of the blue and asked me, "Hey, would you like to?" I'm always very surprised, but it's not the norm for me, for sure. Any other questions? I think
Okay. This Stacy. Yeah, I have a few. One is so if you're on a design team and you're posting videos on YouTube, and there's actually 3 or 4 YouTubers, we'll just say, because when I watch them, they're promoting almost similar kits, or they're the similar kits or similar products. Are they on the same design team? Or are they for just the company, and the company can have several design teams? Or are they just that they both bought the products at the same time? I doubt it's that, because I could see, especially at the beginning of the month, 2, 3, 4 YouTubers or designers that are promoting the same products. So do you know any of the ins and outs of that? I hope that kind of made sense.
yeah, that does kind of make sense. And I'll give you my thoughts on that, and folks in the chat who have thoughts, please share. But because when you mentioned that, like, that is something that I always kind of wondered a little bit at the beginning, and I've since forgotten that it was a curiosity of mine in the early days. And I'll say that you never really know for sure. So that's the short answer as to when somebody is crafting with any particular product, whether they are on a formal design team for that company. There may be some hints and clues that you can look at. So, for example, if a product launches and on day one you're seeing the video, it's likely they received the product ahead of time and directly from the company, as opposed to purchasing it. So that might be one clue as to whether they got the supply in advance. But that doesn't always mean that they are part of a design team, because sometimes companies, and this is the few times that somebody has reached out to me out of the blue, hasn't been to join their team. It's just been, "Hey, we saw your channel. Could we send you XYZ, and would you do a video?" So I'm not part of their team, but I have received some product from them to craft with. And so on YouTube, you'll often see what we're supposed to do when we receive something for free is to put a little checkbox next to "This is a paid partnership." And so YouTube will show that little banner that it is a paid partnership or a promotion. And so that might be another hint. But again, I have to do that whether I received it as being part of a design team or if I received it just because somebody wanted to. Jay mentioned this, like send me product for my opinion, for my review. So it doesn't always mean just because I'm crafting with something and I have that paid partnership label that I'm on their team, to do that. Same with guest designers. They might have like kind of a one-off opportunity to craft with that company's products. The way to know for sure is to maybe go to that company's blog or website, because oftentimes companies will have a page on their website that actually shows who's on their design team. Or conversely, you could go directly to the creator's blog or website, because often creators have a crafty resume, and that will list out what design teams they're on. So those would probably be the two most direct ways of finding the answer to your question. So I hope that answers your question.
Mm-hmm. Do you ladies have others? Because otherwise I can just keep going.
You can keep going for a bit.
So is there ever, because I'm kind of learning now with what we've been discussing, so you could be on several design teams at one time, but can that cause any kind of a conflict?
Yes, it can. And it can, for sure. So that's the short answer. A little bit more detailed is that sometimes, so you do have to be careful to read any design team call that is put out there, to read that carefully, to understand, because sometimes some companies will actually say, if you want to join our team, you can't be on, too many other teams. Like some teams might limit the number of design teams you can be on. Some teams might say you can't be on like a competitive team. So for example, let's say there's a company that does digital stamps. They might actually make as a requirement that you can't be on the design team for somebody else who puts out digital stamps as their primary product. But then that doesn't mean you can't be on a team that does stamps, like rubber stamps or photopolymer stamps, or that puts out dyes. So it can be a constraint in that sense, in terms of that, and that's going to be based on whether the company itself puts those constraints in. But as well, often when you're on a design team, your primary goal is to showcase their product in the best light, and sometimes that's going to mean not using other competitive brands. And so that's something to kind of bear in mind as well. So I hope that answers your question.
It does.
But
Okay.
I'm seeing some other answers in the chat too. So
Yeah.
let's see.
Yeah, they've been amazing.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much on the chat from these.
Oh, good. Well,
fellow crafters.
let me know if there's something I should bring up on the screen that I missed. So Marla says, yes, especially with DTs for small shops that sell similar products. Absolutely, there can be a conflict, especially for a small. And I get why the distinction, because for small shops, they really are trying to make a name for themselves, and so they really want to not only have like as much of your crafty time as possible, because I think that's another thing that they kind of keep in mind, that if they are like one of many, how much time are you putting into their projects? But also that they really want to get their work out there. So Danny says, yes, it can cause a conflict, and some teams will request you aren't on other teams. Yep, absolutely. Oh, I love this too. Danny says, and it can cause a conflict for your time and happiness. Absolutely. Jay, yes, I was thinking it would be more of a time constraint thing. So that's true, and I think that's why for some teams, they don't want to see that you're on, you know, a dozen other teams. They would prefer that you're only on, a few, so that they know you're really gonna put time behind
Focusing on them.
I don't know if you saw Angela's comment too, pertaining to my question I had about companies for interning. That she mentioned that Altenew has something called Altenew Educator Certificate Program that she had joined on the releasing team, and I thought, I've never heard of a program like that. So, thank you, Angela, for that one too.
Wonderful. Thank you. Sorry if I missed that. Thanks for calling that out, Heather.
Yeah, I've looked into that. It's
Stacy, by the way.
Oh, sorry, Stacy.
Pretty interesting.
We sound alike. See, I told you I don't like my voice. I'm pretending to be Heather, apparently. Sorry. See, my little New York comes out. Okay, my humor.
So following up on how many design teams you could be on, and it being a time issue because of maybe multiple deadlines. Not that I foresee this to ever be a problem, but what happens when somebody on the design team can't make a deadline?
Well, that's a really good question.
That's a good one.
Danny's still here with us, and she runs the team. So, Danny, I hope you answer this in the chat. I think Sandy had to bounce, and I don't know if Jamie is still on. But so here's from my perspective, because you guys are my first design team. So so if you're asking what I would do, no, but what I've observed, I'll share that. So design team managers and owners, actually Marla can speak to this too, because she's a design team coordinator. Often if there's something, everybody understands that life happens, and if something has come up in your life, in your personal life, work life, whatever it is, family life, to where maybe you can't meet an obligation, if you know about that in advance, and you let your design team coordinator, your design team lead, your design team manager, they go by all sorts of different names, or the company owner directly, every team is structured differently, and your first point of contact is different everywhere. And so if you just let that person know, something's going on with me, I can't hit such and such deadline, what can we do? There's a lot of understanding there. There's a lot of, hey, take care of yourself first. More often than not, that's the response that I've seen. And so I don't think that you have to see these deadlines as, like you're sick in bed, but you still need to find a way to craft. So, but to be honest, I don't know necessarily what it looks like if you just miss a deadline because you missed a deadline. I've seen like honest mistakes of, oh my gosh, I had the date wrong, but can I post on this other date instead? And I haven't seen any any fallout from that. So let me see what Danny is saying and what Marla is saying. So let's see. Danny says, in my team, communication is key. If you let me know, I will work with you. Wonderful. If you don't, I give you 2 times, and then you are asked to leave. See, that's good, because I understand that, because it's one of those things where if this is a habit, then it's a problem. And but if it's an honest, hey, life has happened, and there's only so much of your life you can control. Danny also said, and if you are constantly missing deadlines, I might ask you to think about it and maybe take a break. Wonderful. Yeah. I want to catch Marla's comment here. It's it's when it happens chronically. Yeah, that is an issue. I also leave a day of the week open for DT members to post on another day for technical issues, oopsies, or life happens. Yeah, wonderful. Because the thing with what DT coordinators and DT owners are juggling is they're trying to manage a flow of inspiration. They don't want, say a product launches, they don't want just on day one to be a lot of fun new ideas. They want the whole month to be full of fun creative ideas, because a common marketing sort of understanding is that it takes a consumer seeing something 5 to 7 times. You ask different marketing professionals, they'll give you a different number, but a handful of times. It takes, as a consumer, seeing something a handful of times before they might take the plunge to make that purchase. And so what DT coordinators and managers are juggling is that schedule and that flow of inspiration. They don't want and they're really, really kind about giving every crafter some space too. And I think that's why Marla's point is, there's a subtlety in that, because the reason why presumably, I'm guessing, Marla, but tell me if I'm wrong, but she keeps an open day there so that we're not like stomping on each other. So if I put out a video on one day and then somebody puts out another video like 10 minutes later, usually it's the newer thing that's going to get the most attention, or it's in the early 24 hours of your video that you're going to get a lot of your traffic. And for those who don't know about like the YouTube quote algorithm, a lot of what and whether YouTube decides whether or not to show your video is how it performs, and in particular how it performs in that first period, that initial period after you publish it. And so if we're all posting on the same day, then we're kind of crushing each other's chances of getting seen. So that's another reason why design team coordinators have a hard time just juggling that, managing that. So yeah, that we strayed a little bit from your initial from your initial question, but it does sound like there's a lot of understanding if deadlines are missed, but communication is really the key factor there.
And I wouldn't have expected anything less, because I mean, as we know, our crafted community is very friendly and understanding. But I just thought I would throw that out there, just to see what the answer would be.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. It's a really good question. Any other questions from the chat or from my team?
I did have one follow-up. It's kind of like it came up early in the conversation, but when we were talking about like videos and whether you use an avatar or if you decide to go on camera, I know, Lynn, your decision is to use an avatar. But do you find, or anybody in the chat, do you find, Lynn, using an avatar, do you think that hinders your connecting with your audience, or is it all about the crafts? Does it make a difference?
That's a really good question, and I know we touched on it a little bit. I don't know 100% for sure how it impacts, but let me ask you, do you feel like you're less connected to me because you can't see me?
No, I guess not. No, and I guess I that question came from, I don't remember where it came from, but there was some other discussion I had in another group. I can't remember what it was for. And what I was talking to them, it was that it made more of a connection if the people who were following you could actually put a a face to your name.
Mm-hmm.
And but like you said though, I don't feel any less connected to you, Lynn. So yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's something that I think I touched a little bit on. So I'll revisit it here
sorry.
now too. No, it's good because I think that was like way earlier. And yeah. So it was something that I felt uncomfortable. Well, it was always going to be my decision not to show my face on camera, not to use my full name if I can help it. And that's just a matter of trying to keep my online footprint small. I know the irony of that, considering I'm on YouTube every day. But just in terms of personally identifiable information and how much of myself I put out there, really wanted to keep it minimal. And that for me was always going to be the case, but it took me a while to be okay with the fact that, and not to feel like that was the wrong decision, because I don't think you can make a wrong decision if it's what's right for you. But I will say that in the early days before I really felt good and comfortable with that decision, I wondered what you asked, like, is this going to hurt my channel? Am I not going to be able to grow because I don't have my face out there? Because I'm not I don't have a face that people can connect to my name. And so there's always going to be a little bit of that degree of separation. And will that mean that my channel, won't grow? And I just had to accept that if that's the case, that's the case. And I value my privacy more than I value the growth of my channel. And if it's a limiting factor, then I just need to be okay with that. And so
Sure.
that's but I don't know, to be honest, if it helps or hurt. But I've certainly heard the same thing you have, where
Right.
if you
Put a
are
face
out
to
there,
your name.
yeah, then people will tend to connect more. But so yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of really good discussion. So let me backtrack a little bit and pop this up. So Danny said, just know that not all companies are understanding. I've been on some not so fab teams, so know the team you're on. Marla agrees somewhat emphatically. So that makes me think that there might be some shared experience there. Stamper Girl or Delise says, trust yourself. If you see any red flags, step down before you get hurt. And I totally agree with this, because and I'm going to throw it into the chat too for those who have design team experience. If you find yourself on a team and you feel like it's just not a good fit for one reason or another, I know that there's going to be the feeling of wanting to fulfill your obligation, but if it's impacting you, stressing you out, taking the joy out of your crafting, maybe reconsider whether that's a right fit for you.
Yeah.
Okay. And wait, before I move on to that, Helen of Crafty Mama Diary says, me 3, Danny. Stamper Girl Delise says 100%. So a lot of thank you, Danny, for sharing that bit of wisdom. It seems like many people have been where you're at too. And here's a good one from Marla. When you are on a bad team, walk away and keep your mouth closed. A bad team for me may be a good team for you. Oh, that's a very good point. Plus, you can get a reputation if you were constantly negative about companies. That's such good advice, Marla. Thank you for sharing that, because I think that everybody's experience is unique, just like everybody's crafty journey is unique, and we're all starting at different places. We're all at different parts of our journey. So your personal experience, whether it's with an individual or a team, is going to be different than other people's. And so if it's not the right fit for you, don't feel like you can't walk away from that before your term usually we work on terms, so it's going to be like a stretch of time, whether that's a month or 6 months or whatever, or a year, 6 months, whatever have you. But it's important that you remember, Marla's second piece of advice is to keep your mouth shut about it. and I love that you put it so straightforward like that, because for one, Marla's point is you don't want to develop a reputation, but the reality is that the community, as big as it feels sometimes, it also can feel very small. And so a lot of those of us who are on one team together actually may find ourselves on a second team together. And you know what I mean? And so there's, just like anything in life, there's gossip that can then get overblown and exaggerated and retold, and maybe something that you say innocently might get construed very differently too. So I would just say, be honest to yourself, but also just be mindful of how you, whether and how you present your experience to other people. So I think that's really good advice. I'm going to flip on back here and actually catch Jay's question. Is there a good way to ask design team peers for feedback? So Delise says it is hard, because if you ask the wrong person, then you might get a target on your back. Oh, that's true. Let's see if there's, Angela says, I think the answers that you I guess get from DT peers can be really enlightening.
I would think it would be really enlightening. And I also feel that you can respond in regards to a DT without negatively making statements that would get you in trouble. But then again, the crafting's in the eye of the beholder. It's not, I think it's more where the trouble runs into is maybe perhaps the rules and the regs might be different than what you were expecting. But like you said earlier, some people are going to enjoy the same DT team that the other person didn't enjoy it at all.
Yeah.
We are all so very different in what our eyes perceive with our crafts, that just because it didn't work out for one does not mean it's not going to work out for you. And that it's worth checking out. There's nothing wrong in backing out, saying, this really isn't for me.
Yeah.
So getting the feedback is great, but it only, you can only rely on it for so much.
Yeah. And, Jay, if I were to answer your question, I would say that I think we're all kind of growing as crafters and trying to learn new things. And I think one way to do that is to get opinions from our peers. So I totally see where there's value in that. And to Delisa's point, maybe wise to to just and to Renee's point too is, maybe take that feedback with a grain of salt, because you can do with it what you want, right? It doesn't mean somebody's opinion is the absolute way to do a thing. And I'll share, between Kim, Delise, and myself, we often kind of send each other little photos of our work in progress, and we'll ask, questions and get feedback. And I find that so incredibly valuable, especially since, the first 2 years or so before I joined a design team, I was largely just crafting by myself because I don't have crafty friends and I didn't know any crafty people virtually even. And so being on a design team for me has been wonderful because of the community of friends that I have now. And so, Jay, I find great value in getting feedback from people I trust, for one, to be honest, and for another to kind of what Delise was saying, not like use that against me in any way. So so I hope that answers your question. And I saw a comment. Oh, I wanted to put this up. This is from Crafting Mama Diaries. I stayed on a team that was not a good fit, but I didn't want to step down because I felt I didn't want to be a quitter. And oh wait, there's more. I stayed until my time was up. I love this. And no, it's not too shabby. Thanks, Helen. Yeah, we won't get into the specifics, but I can totally understand where you're coming from. And I think that's such a fine balance, because I know so many of us feel like we said we would commit to a thing, so we want to commit to a thing, and does it look bad on us if we don't commit to that thing? But if it's not a good fit, and Helen, I've been in your shoes, and I did walk away, but yeah, it's just one of those things that you kind of have to find that answer for yourself. But I would definitely say if it's a negative impact on your life, you don't need it. This is your like extra time. You know what I mean? This is your hobby. This is your craft. Yes, you're getting product as a form of payment for it, but it's not your job if you're still working. And so you only have so much of your free time. I would hate if you're in a situation where you're just not enjoying yourself. So Marla,
I have before you move on, I've got one question to what was it, Crafty Mama? That
Yep.
she hung out, she hung out all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Did you learn anything from it?
Oh, okay, wonderful. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll give Helen a moment to respond, and I'll try to catch her response when it comes up. Because we are on a little bit of a delay. So
Yeah.
Okay, so Marla says, I tried to complete my obligations when I can. I did have a team that kept adding new responsibilities that weren't in my contract. I spoke up for myself and got deleted from the team without notice. Wow. Oh, look at this. Wow. From Crafty Mama Diaries. That
is
wow.
a wow.
Sorry you had to go through that, Marla. That bye, Delise. She's running off to dinner because it's not going to cook itself. I just want to bye. Thanks for joining us. But yeah, so
miss your giggles.
Yes. So I want to go back to Marla's comment because I don't know, ladies on my team, if you knew, but generally when you join a design team, there is a contract that you are asked to sign. And part of the contract covers, just very basic things like, hey, you're going to receive things and you're going to see things before the general public. You got to keep that secret. But part of the contract should, and if it doesn't, you need to ask clarifying questions, but it should also cover what is expected from you and what your responsibilities are. And when the team is changing those out from under your feet and you don't feel comfortable with what they're doing, to Marla's point here, you have to stand up for yourself and say, look, this isn't what I agreed to. And especially since, for some of us who are on multiple teams, and I'll speak for myself, I always like to know very clearly what is expected. How many projects? Do they all need to be videos, etc.? Because we take our obligations seriously, so they should take their expectations and the expectations they communicated to us seriously as well. And because I wouldn't say yes to a contract if I didn't feel like I could meet those obligations. And when they're changing them out from under your feet like that, it's really not fair. And so you should say something. And it's terrible the way that they treated Marla, because that's
No.
at the end of the day, we're all adults, we're all professionals, and there should be some respect there. Danny says to Marla, so many teams do that. It's so annoying to be told one thing and have it be more. Absolutely. I'm glad that for me it's been the rare occasion, but it's sad that it happens at all, really, at any level. Yeah, so Marla says, I think it's important to be straightforward with expectations. Absolutely. And on our end, to demand that explicit expectation. If there's any question or doubt as to what is expected of you, definitely get that clarified before you officially join. I love Danny, but don't let it scare you. The majority of teams are great. Yes, absolutely. I think it's the rare case that that you'll find these things happen, but they do happen. So so sorry you went through that, Marla. Okay, so Renee, we have an answer from Helen of Crafty Mama Diaries. I learned that you do need to speak up for yourself. The reason is because when you apply to their team, you give them your info and they have seen what you have to offer. And for them to change a contract or how you do things because it's not good enough or whatever, they knew what they were getting when they asked you to join the team. And so she continues to say, so I should have walked away, but I have a lot of pride and I was worried it would ruin my reputation. Yeah, I can understand that. And Stacy's trying to get back on. One sec. Stacy, if you can join from the link that I chatted you, or if Heather or Renee can resend her the link to join, that would be great.
Sure.
Marla says, I agree, Helen. It's a breach of contract to change it. Changes should be made between design team calls. That's what we did with Not Too Shabby. Waited for the new call. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one thing that is important, because you kind of always need to keep in mind that, yeah, it's an honor to be on these teams, but it's also your time, and your craft that you are sharing with the team. And so if you join the team under one set of expectations and circumstances, then they need to honor that. It can't just be okay, well, now we need you to do 5 more projects than what we originally told you, because that makes a huge difference. And one other thing that Helen said that I appreciate also is that I think it's this part here, that when you apply to a team, you tell them, here's where you can find me on social media, and they have ample opportunity to see your work, to know your style and to know, if you're producing videos or not, and the production quality or level of your production quality of your videos. So they know before they ask you to join the team. But then, midway through, to then be critical, to what Helen was saying, that, they don't like how you're doing things because it's not good enough. That kind of seems a little bit unfair as well, you know? So I do kind of feel like that's such a tough position to be in, and I can totally understand, on the one hand, not loving that situation that you're in, but on the other hand, wanting to fulfill a commitment that you've made. So yeah, it's a tough call for sure. Any other? Stacy, welcome back. Glad you found your way back.
Thanks. I thought, was it a sign?
Okay. So Helen's saying, for me, they didn't like my photos. Well, that's so weird, because it's like that's what they were using to gauge, to kind of review your work. So strange to then say, to be critical of it. But I'm glad you're out of that situation now, and you've moved on to greener pastures.
And she learned quite a bit from there. She learned that she needs to stand up for herself, and that's a big thing to learn.
Absolutely, yeah.
A lot of us, me included, I'm shy by nature, although a lot of people don't think I am. I won't stand up for myself because I'm too afraid to stand up and say, hey, that's not right, what you're doing to me. So to be able and learn that is a tremendous thing, that it is okay and it is your right.
And I
Based on
think
what they agree.
right. And I think that it can also be done in a professional way too. Like, you don't have to kind of blast it out to the whole team,
No.
but yeah, have the conversation with, your first point of contact, and give them an opportunity to make it right. And and then if they can't or won't or what have you, then really kind of reevaluate whether it's the right thing for you. So yeah, I hear you. So Helen says, I still don't know if I can do it now because it's not in my nature to. Yeah, it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to do because there's virtue in both, right? There's virtue in staying and learning from that experience, and value in that, and to see how to make it right. Because, like, take for instance, if this was a paid job, it's not like you can walk away from it, right? So which you can always quit a job, but let's say you weren't financially in a position where you could. But you could definitely learn from that experience, and whether you stay or leave. So there's value in it. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. It's just one of those things where you kind of have to. That's why I always say, you just have to examine whether it's the right place to be for you at that time.
I'm one of those people that looks at the glass half full rather than half empty. Because if I look at it the opposite way, I'll have too many glasses.
Yeah, absolutely. So Marla says, I can say my experiences on DTs has shaped how I run a team. Yeah, and I can say firsthand, Marla is a fantastic design team coordinator. So a complete honor, and I've learned a lot by her example. Danny says the same. She agrees. She runs her team. Based on a lot of the experiences that she's had, I'm presuming good and bad. So what to do, what not to do. Oh, that's exactly what Danny said next. It has helped me learn what to do and what not to do. Wonderful. Angela says, I think before you join a DT, it would be good to take part in challenges and then move on to design team applications. Yeah, and I think Angela might have made this comment earlier, and if I'm crediting the wrong person, I apologize. But in the context of it earlier, it was how to get a guest design team spot. A lot of times, companies, challenge blogs, and whatnot will run competitions, and if you join and participate in those competitions, sometimes the winner is part of what you get for winning is a guest design team opportunity. And in this context, it's also a good way to just kind of get a sense for also what the team values in terms of because if they're actually picking a winner, some of them are random, but I think a lot of times if you're getting a guest design team position from it, then they're actually evaluating your projects. So that's really great advice, Angela. Thank you for
I
sharing
have
that.
a question for you. Have you ever been on a design team outside of the US?
Yes, I have.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I have to think about it though. I was on actually one of the first design teams that accepted me was Polka Doodles, and they are based out of the UK. And I know the reverse is often kind of hard for some designers who are outside the US, because a lot of companies are finding that the shipping cost to send products overseas is just too prohibitive to have an international team, and that can vary just being a smaller team or a larger team. And so I totally understand that. And when I was on the Polka Doodles team, I was on their digital team. So I didn't get physical product. I got digital product to work with. And so that made it not be an expense on their part. But yeah. Hey, Danny was on Polka Doodles too. Mama Pillow, hi. Welcome. Just wanted to hop on here and tell all of you who work on design teams that we crafters appreciate you. Oh, the time that you spend may not be appreciated by your team, but it is by your audience. Thank you so much. And I have to say, I value everybody who watches my video, engages with my videos, leaves me a comment, because I feel like in the early days when, my videos weren't getting seen a lot, every like and every comment was just like, I treasured it, and I still do, because it means that you took the time to leave that extra bit of kindness. And part of the scary thing with putting your work out there, your craft out there, is that you just don't know what the response is going to be, and you don't know if you're going to come upon somebody who isn't nice to you. So it can be very scary. And so I value every positive comment that I get. And I've gotten really good constructive criticism too. And I value that as well, because it's always been out of kindness. So I appreciate you, Mama Pill. You're always so encouraging, and especially through those early years for me, it really got me through that time where, it just felt sometimes that maybe this isn't what I want to do. But anytime, folks are putting kindness out there, I appreciate it for sure, 100%. And lots of love for Mama Pillow for your kindness. Thank you. Yeah. Helen, I love reading everyone's comments because them taking the time to do it lets me know they appreciate what I put out there. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jay says, me
Yeah,
too,
the show's been
especially
wonderful.
since I do so many shorts where you don't get a lot of feedback compared to longer videos. Yep. Yeah, same here, Marla. I try to reply to all of my comments too. And Angela says, I've had some not so nice comments. Oh, but I am always gracious to the commenters. Yeah, combating bad comments with good vibes. It's worked so far. Good for you, Angela. First off, I'm sorry that anybody has been unkind to you, because my take on this is, and I wrote into YouTube about this too. I was like, why do you have a thumbs down? You're like the only social media platform that somebody can like very easily give a thumbs down and give negative feedback. Like it's possible on other platforms too, but it's whenever I see a thumbs down, I was always like supremely dejected by it. But not only that, it's just not constructive. Like, what didn't you like? Like, how is that going to make me a better content creator? And if you didn't like my content, you don't have to continue watching or, come back to my channel. You don't have to leave negativity. So, sorry that you had to go through that, Angela, but I love that you stayed positive and that you keep it positive, because I kind of feel like, what energy you put out there is what's going to come back to you. So I hope no more negativity on your channel. But I love that you're not letting it affect you too much. Hi Kendra, welcome. Yes to good vibes. Oh, let's see. So Marla says, I've only had one bad comment early on. They told me watercoloring was a waste of time. It was in the title. Please pass. That's funny. Yeah, that's what I don't get. Is, if it's in the title, then like just keep scrolling. It's okay. You don't have to watch. Helen says, I used to let those thumbs down bring me down too when I was new. Yeah, they've changed it on YouTube a little bit. So now on a video, you can still thumbs down a video, but you can't see how many people have thumbs downed a video. But on the creator end of things, we can still see that number. And I'd like to say that it doesn't bother me and that I don't look and that I don't care, but the reality is I do. Like, my channel is 99% thumbs up, but the oddball video might be something like 91% thumbs up. And I'm like, why? Who thumbs down? And why? How can I be improving? What didn't they like? Let's see. So Jay says that he's also got some good constructive feedback on volume. Yeah, constructive feedback I think is very, very helpful, and I welcome that, especially when they put it in that light. Like, I've had people say, I don't, don't take this the wrong way, but I think you're pronouncing this word wrong. And I'm like, oh, thank you for letting me know that. So Mama Pillow says, I would love to see crafters on alternate platforms, there are very few, and those who are there have an audience. Do any of you plan to expand to alternate platforms in the future? Let us know what platforms you're thinking of. Because in terms of video format, YouTube is the one that I know. So if there are other platforms and places to share, I would love to check it out. Oh, okay. So it looks like there are. Marla says I was on Rumble and had very few views. I've never even heard of that. So
That's probably
ladies,
why she had very few.
yeah, that's true. It just might not be one that a lot of crafters are on. Jay says a crafter I follow streams on Twitch. Oh, interesting. I've heard of it, but I don't see. I'm just not. Oh, wow. Mama Pillow, there's so many. Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Brighton, YouTube. Wow, there are a lot. Interesting. And Helen says it lets you link your YouTube so you don't have to manually do it. Oh, wow. I'm learning a lot. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. I'm with Angela. I haven't heard of any of these, but I'm interested to know everybody's experience on them and whether it's worth the time. Yeah, I feel kind of how Danny feels. That it's enough to do the YouTubies and more is just going to be overwhelming. So ladies, so we're coming up on the 2.5 hour mark. I had no idea how long this stream would go, and this has been such an engaging conversation. But I don't want to keep folks too long, and so I'm wondering any last questions, any last round of questions that I can answer.
Hillary or Lynn, this isn't pertaining really about a design team, but if someone is involved in a hop or some kind of challenge and you want to follow them. So like if we want to just say, I'm just saying Jay or I'm sorry, I have the hiccups, or Crafty Mama or whatever. How do you really, other than, because I've been checking out others, how do you really, is there a way to tell if they are only on Facebook or Instagram, or is there, or both, or a page and not YouTube? Is there a way really to find the easiest way to follow someone, like where they're located? Or is that a really silly question?
Oh, there are no silly questions, for one. And thank you for asking, because I love this question because there's just so many different ways to kind of support your favorite content creator, your favorite crafter. And many of us do share on multiple different platforms.
Mhm.
So I would say if somebody's part of a hop that is taking place on Instagram or whatever, then hopefully that hop directs you straight to their profile page.
Mhm.
So whatever they're doing on that platform, you should hopefully already be there. And if it's Instagram, a lot of times people will put, so with Instagram, here's the thing with Instagram, they're not a big fan of sharing links. And so you would want to look, often we use something that will allow us to take you to a page that has a bunch of our links. So it's often referred to as our link in bio. And if you scroll all the way to the top of somebody's profile page, you'll often see their link. And there's things like Linktree, and I see a lot of people are commenting that. And so when you click on their link in bio, that'll often take you to another page that has hopefully where all you can find them. And if not, a lot of people have blogs where, again, if they are on multiple platforms, they'll have links to all of their various different platforms. On YouTube, probably the best way to find where else that person shares their work would be their about page. So if you click on their picture, their little profile avatar or photo of themselves, that should take you to their about page, and or their channel page, I should say. And then from their channel page, there should be an about tab.
Mhm.
And that would be where you can go to not everybody lists everywhere that they post, but
Well,
if they do,
Hmm.
that's where you would find it.
yeah, because I wrote down 12, 13 names from the comments that I would like to follow. And as you know, I can multitask, so I'm looking, and some I found on Instagram, where I found it on Facebook, but there was a few people here that I didn't find on either. So
Yeah.
that was my reason for my question, because it's like, oh wait,
And
I
it's
want to follow and look at their work, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, can't find them.
Yeah, so so funny because I just found created by Zoe as the same thing. I'm not familiar with most of the people in this chat. How can I find you all?
Oh, really?
Yes. So
And we don't know each other. We just happen to,
okay.
minds think alike,
That's
Zoe.
funny. Yeah, so I don't know if in the chat you can click on the profile picture to go straight to those folks, but
Yeah, not on our end.
their handle, their name, as you see it in chat, will
Mhm.
be the name of their channel as well. So if you're jotting that down, hopefully you can find it that way.
Yeah, there's a few
And
no.
some of us though are like, I when I started sharing my work, I grabbed up LV Handcrafted everywhere. So it's my it's my Instagram, it's my Facebook, it's my YouTube handle, it's my Pinterest handle. So I'm everywhere you can find me. I'm LV Handcrafted. But that may be harder for some people. They may be sharing personally by their name versus by a crafty handle. So yeah, it is tough, but if you can find them in one place, hopefully it links to them in all the other places that they share. I hope that helps.
You want the truth, or you want me to lie? No. No, it did. It was just like I said, just there's like two.
Oh no, Stacy, I think we lost your audio. Okay, we're gonna give Stacy a moment to recover.
So it could be Cards and Crafts, where I've looked up, and it could not be under that, but maybe it's under Danny or something. There was just like 3 that I just couldn't locate, so I just didn't know if there was like a little cheat way to find
okay.
it. But no, you answered.
Okay, good. Well, if you're seeing them here on YouTube, their crafty handle in the chat, that will be how you find them for sure on YouTube. How you find them elsewhere, you might want to start with their channel about page, and hopefully that links off to other places as well.
Perfect. I didn't look on YouTube. Thank you for saying that. I was looking on just the Facebook and Instagram. So thank you for just saying, Stacy, YouTube, what are you thinking? So
you're so sweet. Okay, so I love this from Angela. Does anyone obsess about having perfect nails before doing a video?
Jay does. No, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's so funny. But you know what? I don't obsess, but I do pay attention. So if my nails need to be trimmed, I will do a quick trimming. I have nail clippers like by my craft table for that purpose. That's hilarious. Oh, Danny says I need to go eat supper. Please feel free to reach out with any questions. She is Danny's Dreams on all platforms. Bye, Danny.
Thanks,
you so
Danny.
much. Yeah. Such a joy.
Actually, I bought some nails today, FYI.
Oh, did you?
I did. My daughter and I went to Ulta.
Oh, how fun. So fun. Yeah, it's funny. Helen says, "You do make sure my nails are clean." Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, I did see a serious question, and I'm not ignoring it. I'm just finding a moment to, because it's a good question. I have to go back to it now. Oh boy, now it's hard to find. There was a question about, oh goodness. I think I have the ability to put stars next to things. I need to use that. I think there was a question about regrets. Oh, here we go. Okay, so Mama Pillow asked, biggest regrets on joining a team. Anyone? That's a really fabulous question, and this is a good way for me to actually maybe start to wrap up this particular discussion, because this question is a really good segue for me to tell everybody that this has been a wonderful part one of my Let's Talk Design Teams series, and there will be a part two. And my part two video will be next month. And I actually am inviting some of my colleagues, some of my peers, fabulous designers who are part of design teams, and some of them are gracious enough. I won't say who yet. I'm gonna kind of reveal that slowly between now and then. But it's a really nice follow-up to this amazing discussion that we've started here, because in that discussion, since it's going to be comprised of a panel of creators and designers who have design team experience, we're going to be focusing more on what is it really like, and we've touched on some of these things. What is it really like to be part of a design team? What's involved? What are some of the experiences that we've had, good and bad? The motivation behind having this part two is to, as I think I mentioned, and Heather mentioned it, or I think it was Heather who mentioned it, it's sort of like that peeling back of the layers of the onion. So this is just going to be another layer that we peel back. And in this first amazing discussion that we've had now for the last 2.5, almost 3 hours, it's been a lot about, okay, what are those early perceptions of, what it's like, what is a design team, how do you get onto one, and maybe dispelling some myths. But then now with part two, we're going to take a closer inside look at that experience from designers who have I'm really honored, because some of the panelists who will be joining me have so much more experience than I do. So I've learned so much in this talk, and I know I'm going to learn a lot in the next one too. So Mama Pillow, I'm not going to quite address your question, but I hope you'll tune in for part two, because and I'm going to note that question so that I can be sure to ask it when we have that talk, because I think that's going to open up a lot of really great discussion that as we move into our, hour 3 of this particular talk, maybe some folks, I don't know if you can hear my stomach, but my stomach is grumbling. So some of us might, for us, it might be close to bedtime. For some of us, it might be close to dinner time. So I invite you, it's not scheduled yet, that particular talk. So now that I've officially announced it first to everybody still hanging out with us on this live stream, you're the first to know that there will be a part two, and that I am inviting a panelist of amazing designers to join me in a follow-up discussion about the inside workings of a design team. And I also want to let me pop this up too, because Mama Pillow is also saying in that next session, please discuss how you tackle projects you've committed to but don't love the design of. Yeah,
Oh,
that's a very, very good topic.
Hey, Lynn, on your next one, I'm sorry, on your next live,
Yep.
will you be having either a link or somewhere on your page for like questions? So if anyone who has questions between now and then, we could list it so you guys have a little heads up, and it's maybe not like a 3-hour or 4-hour live, or would you prefer to be surprised on the questions, so more like this for like more like today? Do you know yet about that?
So I promise folks who are watching that I did not set up Stacy for this question, but that's
no.
the perfect segue for the next thing that I want to announce.
I need to play the lotto then, maybe.
Thank you, because we did not choreograph or script this.
Yeah.
But okay, I'm gonna do a shameless plug and promotion. I talked about earlier that ultimately my hope, my dream, my goal is for my crafty efforts to self-fund and maybe one day even be an income source. Towards that end, I've actually opened up membership to my channel.
Oh.
And what does it mean to be a member? A member, YouTube has a platform for us to create membership clubs. And that allows our viewers, our community to, if they wish, subscribe to be a member of our channel for some monthly amount. I have a variety of different membership levels, but the lowest one is 99 cents. So for as little as 99 cents, you can become a member of my channel. And I am allowing my members to submit questions early. And I will open that up as soon as well, maybe not as soon as the stream ends, but by tomorrow I'll post to my members as an exclusive perk of being a member that they can submit their questions for that design team part 2 discussion and get their questions in early, just in case if they can't join us live to ask it, or if they just really want to make sure that I can prioritize their question. So that is how you can get your questions in between now and when that second talk airs. So become a member of my channel for as little as 99 cents, and you can start and stop your membership. There's no contract. It's not like if you sign on to be a member, you have to be a member for a year. If you just want to get some questions in, give me a 99-cent tip and you'll be able to submit a question. So I hope that answers your question. For me, making asks like that is really hard, but I have to kind of feel like if I am serious about my goal of wanting my crafty hobby to self-fund, or an even loftier goal of it to be a source of income, then I just need to let people know how they can support me and how they can support my channel. And I'm not asking that you do that, but especially since everybody's kind of financial situation is different. But if you feel so inclined, that is something that's available on my channel now. And of course, just like how today's stream went, you are always welcome to join the live stream and ask questions during the live stream as well. So thank you, Stacy, for setting me up for plugging my membership.
Sure. You could pay me later.
Probably not the
design
answer
team,
you were
but-
hoping for.
No. That was fine. No.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Renee, Heather, and Stacy, for joining me on this live stream. I know this was a first for all of you, and you all did wonderfully. If you were nervous, I couldn't tell. You are like pros. So thank you for sharing your unique perspective with not just me, but everybody who's here with us live and everybody who is catching us on replay. Really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who did join us live and who I know I missed a lot of comments, but thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, sharing your questions. I do go back and watch my live streams, so I will make sure to go back and read those comments. If you are catching us on replay and you have questions that we didn't cover during our stream, please leave a comment. If you have an opinion, a perspective that you'd like to share, please do leave a comment, because I read all of my comments and I love to kind of learn from everybody's experience and getting everybody's different takes and viewpoints on things. So I just want to give a final opportunity for my team to say any last words. Let's start off with Stacy.
Well, I just want to say thanks to Lynn for letting me be part of the design team and for having this live today. But I also want to thank everyone who's in the chat and who's on for their information, for their encouragement, their knowledge, just being participating in it. And you guys really do inspire me. So I just want to have a big thank you and wish you guys a blessed and safe weekend.
Renee, any last words?
I am just so grateful for everyone, including Heather and Stacy, that are on the team. And for today, the discussion that we were so worried about that we wouldn't have too many people, and yet it went on for nearly 3 hours. It's amazing what all of you had to say, and I'm very grateful for that. And for you, Lynn, for setting this all up and passing on your knowledge to each one of us. I am so grateful, and I look forward to the coming weeks of more discussions, learning so much more than I've ever possibly thought about.
Oh, thank you, Renee.
And
Heather,
then,
last word?
and then I guess I just basically say the same thing as my teammates. I'm just thankful for the opportunity. I love being able to have discussions, with you, Lynn, and your joining your lives. And I really appreciate everybody who joined in on the live today and chatted in the chat box and gave us encouragement and great answers to the questions that we had. And I look forward to continuing to learn and grow and be part of this team.
Oh, thank you, Heather. Thank you all. And thank you everybody in the live chat. My last thing that I will close out with is I am going to post a link to my Crafty Fun with Friends Facebook group. There were a lot of questions about where we can find each other and how we can connect. And that might be a nice central spot for us to join. It's a private Facebook group, so anything you post there is only going to be visible to members of the group. So if you want to pop on over, join the group. Everybody on my design team is part of that group. Many of the folks who you've been interacting with in the live chat are also in my group. So if you're not already there and you're wondering how to connect with some of these other amazing crafters that we've had this really lovely discussion with, let's all meet up over in my group, and we can maybe share some links with each other. I know Marla talked about the tiny teams, and maybe we can share links to our social media pages and whatnot too. So final words. Thank you everybody who again here live and catching us on replay, and look for my part 2 live stream to be scheduled soon. And with that, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for spending your precious weekend time with us. Thanks and take care. Bye.
Bye, all.
Thanks,
Thank you all.
everybody.